Hey, what's up guys? We're doing another coaching session, this time for Androxus. It's from our friend QEcho. QEcho is in Gold 1, but this is an average elo of Platinum 5. Before we start, remember to be nice. It's not easy to send in your gameplay to be critiqued in front of a few thousand people, so props to him and thanks for the VOD. And let's get started. So I like the build. It's actually what I use. The only thing is I changed Power of the Abyss to 5, just because my preferences changed over time. This is perfectly fine. You could mess around with it. Andro has a few different viable things, including elim CDs and dash health. This is solid. Some things to keep in mind are what the comps do. Their team has pretty aggressive flank pressure with the Rom and the Buck, some cap with the Nara, standard healer, and some Tiberius spam. So their comp looks pretty standard all around. Your team has double healer and a Victor and an Andro, so you don't have anybody to help you really go in, and you might have to be taking a lot of heals sometimes. I probably wouldn't worry about your backline as much because they should be able to help each other, so you might not necessarily have to counterflank their flank a whole bunch, especially because it's Andro versus Buck. That's pretty tough to get down. They also don't have a lot of peels on their team. And let's get into it. Alright, making our way on the left. Probably gonna meet the Buck here. There he is.
Oh my god.
I would have left either during the rev or right about now, because you actually aren't winning this very much. I'd definitely be more careful early game into a Buck. You don't really have to rush into him like that. And here comes another fight. That was actually pretty hard to win. You kind of popped there, but that was easier than the last fight because you started off better. I probably would have self-healed instead of spamming. Oh, I would like to dash into that Grok ult and see if you can make something happen. You're kind of missing your window here a little bit. Oh, maybe you can kill the Sonara instead of spreading out your damage. Right now you can go for a tank, Tiger, or Furia. It looks like Furia has no dash or a beam, so she's pretty enticing. But I think these tanks might be free picks, and you don't really have to go for the Tiger because he's not going to be healed by the Furia. So I would prefer. I didn't get to see the Nara's health, but I think he's the easiest because you can isolate the angle from here. Just burn this guy. He's not going to be healed. I would kill this guy and then look here and see what his health is like. And if he is more than maybe a third of health, or if he sees you and he's going to fight you, I would look towards the Furia. I think the Tiger's okay too, but I really like the Rom kill and the other tanks and then the Furia because it's OT, so somebody has to touch, and the Tiger's not going to be a big threat.
I'll get Master Riding.
Going for the Tiger? That's okay, it's a free kill. I prefer the tanks there. Nice headshot. So remember, this is going to be really hard to win. You gotta heal right now, so this isn't like a great position to be in. I would definitely ult him there. You only have 2 bullets and he's full HP. No reason to save it. Ooh, unlucky, missed the rev. Could have ulted him. I probably wouldn't have forced that hard on him.
Yeah, I could have got like at least.
Here's a good fight because you're with your Grok. So your support died. So you don't want to like super hard engage unless you're going for like a suicide kill. Okay, this is pretty tough. This is like a really unwinnable position. Yeah, you definitely can't win that. As soon as you see the Furia, look at you, Rev. But I think dropping off the high ground was a little bit over aggressive in that stage. You can try to play behind or try to get a pick, but I wouldn't engage on the Buck. It's too hard right now. It's wrong. So he's chasing you. If somebody is chasing you while you're trying to flank, that means you're not allowed to play in a position you want to play in. It means this whole area is actually, you can't stand here because you have pressure coming from here and from here, and a lot of times they actually communicate. and more people will be like, she's already looking at you. So this, you can't play here unless you're going for a suicide, but that's a bad idea. You should either leave back to where you came from or double down and kite really far behind up to their high ground and make the ROM chase you. And I think they also have a spawner. I think the Tiger Man spawning. So you can spawn camp him and lead the ROM back, and the Fury will probably chase you. So that makes a lot of space. The safest play is definitely to leave and get out though, once you see the ROM chasing you. And this is almost impossible to leave.
You're alone.
Yeah, that's very hard to win.
Let's group up.
Yeah,
Waiting for caught, that's fine.
They don't have a Furia.
Neither do we.
Enemy killing spree.
Yeah.
Got two's pretty good here into the buck. So if you look at the spawners, you actually had much more potential impact if you went to go spawn camp the Furia and then dismount the buck and cause some chaos behind. Now you're getting shot from two different sides and you're playing really close to Nara, which is never safe. Oh, and it's cripple. You want to make sure you check the talents as soon as you start the game. That way you're not surprised by anything, and check the loadouts because Buck isn't running jump DR and Anar's running cripple. Both interesting points to note. So yeah, just whenever you can, just get as far as you can on mount. That's a good rule of thumb.
No fun zone.
If nobody made you get off your mount yet, might as well keep it. Go further. There you can actually glide off the ledge. If you don't jump off before falling, just fall off gently and then dismount in midair while holding spacebar, and you'll glide. You're much more efficient. You could probably get here with one dash. Much faster. Here it looks like you're engaging pretty hard. He hasn't seen you yet, so this is fine. I would definitely left click him first and then ult. That way you apply cauterize and you get a little bit extra burst. You might not even have to ult him if you two-shot him before he reacts. Another thing, when you're ulting and you're that low, it's very hard to keep track of your targets. So ideally you sneak up on him, left click him, dash up, and then ult is the perfect play there. Because now then you were kind of like lost and you lost track of him a bit. Nice rev. Just get in that grok ult, get the health. Nice. I'll get in there a little bit quicker to get that health. You could help your team, it's fine. They don't really need you, but it's okay. Getting a hit by that ult doesn't really matter either. Let's get high ground here. There we go. Looks like you're fighting the buck again. Nice damage, you're winning this. A little bit scared there. No reason to hide behind the wall if you're winning that so hard. You want to time your peaks when you're reloading, so that way you're not peeking while reloading there. So a bit over aggressive. Once he gets healed, and you see that and you're down cooldowns, I think it's much better to fall off because you're risking how he could chase you while being healed, and you're risking the Fury helping him, which he probably should have. Pretty lucky to live that. Oh, you don't want to fall off on that side because the enemy team can see you from there. You should definitely be dead here for multiple reasons. So you want to get your heal and then you want to go back to high ground now. This position isn't very strong because your only angles are all the way here or all the way there. And this is your only cover, which isn't amazing unless you retreat back in orange. So this is okay if you're like a Cassie or Leon, but you have verticality, so you want to get up above you. That's the whole point of Andro. You want to control this area outside their spawn on the stairs. That's what's good for you. Yeah, you just get immensely outtraded here. Go to high ground. It's much better. So in this position, a lot of people will run into spawn and play doors and attack you from doors. And it's really hard to do anything about it. And you're stuck in the open between all of this stuff and then all of this stuff from point. And you have no cover, except for this, but that leads to spawn, so it's not very good. You want to be playing in the position I showed you earlier, especially as Androxus. if you're right here, you have all of this cover and you have the ground, the high ground to play. So you can play up here and look down on here, or you can rotate back in there. So you want to fight the buck over this because this is important ground. Unfortunately, you can't engage because you don't have your dash. Oh, get him. There you go. Oh, pretty lucky to be alive here. Ooh, that hurts. Alright, the ult is super ambitious at 75 HP. Oh, definitely don't shoot it after the round's over. That takes all charge now.
Who even plays this game?
Yeah, you play the strong position there, you win it. Let's flashback to first mid. So you're just forcing really, really hard right here. You can be a bit quicker with your dashes and try to time it so you dash right before he shoots, but this is actually really difficult. And that's Rev lag for you. Yeah, that's just not a good fight to take. Here, you want to do that mount glide I showed you? That way you can get up on him faster.
This has the same feeling as knowing the ex-developer of Paladins is on Netflix now, on that Love show.
I'd run down mid here, because then you can get involved in this fight quicker. By the time you rotate all the way around and get up top, you're like gonna almost have your dashes back, and the Grok ult's gonna be over.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he is! He's trying to get she on TV!
That's crazy.
Yeah, you could have been here earlier, and then you would have had your dashes to rotate anyway. But now they're dead.
I know, right?
The flank here is okay, but you pretty much lost already.
Oh, that's
You wasted the window of your dash. So this is the second time you need to sometimes use a dash that you don't really want to use. That way you keep the dash window open longer.
Yeah! He sucks at trying to get girls.
Let's kill the ROM here. You might have to body block for your IO. Nice Rev. Surprised that works. Sometimes that doesn't work for me. You want to get to high ground here. Attacking down the middle isn't so fun as Andro. This is tunneling pretty hard. You're not even like really winning. He's almost full HP and you have to cover a lot of distance. Your dashes are going to be easy to hit because you're just running down the middle. And you have a lot of people looking at you and you're surrounded. And it's definitely impossible to get out here. At best you get one kill. Yeah, you definitely tunneled there and hard dove through mid. So like I said, just go to high ground and then look for an opening and drop on people. It's much easier to hold high ground and drop on people than it is to like run down middle and try to kill somebody. Alright, 4v4, you got high ground, you're going for a play.
They really are not happy.
So I like the top left ledge more if the card's back here, because you get closer to the Furion card. It's easier to flank from. Oh, you're actually winning this. So you could dash forward, and then once you dash forward, right here, you can see this angle, and then for your escape, you could just dash up to ledge. You gotta be thinking about your exits right here. If you kite back and dance over here, it's actually much more difficult for you to live. A bit of a force on there. There was an opening, but if you clean up your exit strategy and just clean up the angles a little bit more, you could definitely get that. I would go up on the bridge. There's a chance you get ulted here. I don't think it's worth ulting for CC immunity. I think your team is fine. Just kind of a flashback of the last life of just running down mid. High ground will help you a lot more. Nice kill, but that's the best case scenario. You're definitely not getting out there. Let's see, C-block. The mount glide might have helped you out a little bit more. It's just really hard to engage on a buck like that because he has the pillar to play around and you have to cross the opening, so you have to use 2 dashes. And he sees you coming, and he could set it up however he wants. Also, this kill doesn't really matter that much, because he's not doing anything in this position. He has to actually come into you to do anything. You want to wait on high ground and look for an opportunity, more than hard shove somebody who's holding that. It's very hard to get up on them when they're holding that position. This is an okay idea. I would wait until cart was closer, that way you can get one more spawn. And if you wait and then go ult maybe over the trees here, you have all of this cover to play around for when you ult. So it's easier to isolate things, because right now, as you can see, there are 4 things that can see you, and they can all dance in and out of cover pretty easily. So yeah, definitely try to make ults where you're not picking the whole enemy team, and to where your team can help you a little bit. And you don't really have an exit strategy. Kind of a bit of panic there, but it's just not a good ult spot. If you ult more so over here, then you could just fall down on this ledge and use the cover and sign. And it's nicer. So yeah, think about your exit strategy for your ults. And I would have delayed it another 4 seconds or so. Because you could be ulting during this, and it's much nicer. Oh, looks like you didn't notice that tiger. Definitely want to rev those. Sick jump. I like this mix-up you're doing here. You're ambushing him. Although now you could have played aggressive because you have COD 3, but this is fine.
Right side. He's actually...
So you actually hear another mount that went through. It's either a tank or Tiberius, most likely.
That dog died real quick.
This is okay. This is okay. Good chase on him. That fight you were winning really hard, so it's fine to chase that.
Or he's just gonna use all of his ults on me.
And clean this guy up. Oh, almost saved your buddy. That was nice. That was a good mid. I like the mix up. Nice cripple destroy too. And you go for a flank here. Okay, you could have helped with the tank, because there wasn't that much else to do other than dismount. So in this position, just go up to high ground. There's no reason to play bottom. If you play high ground, you actually have options, and it's more difficult for them to catch you out with their characters. But this is okay. High ground is just a bit better. Like, I would just dash up to ledge right now. That way you don't get surprised by like a Nara mounting on you. Definitely dash up now. Okay, there we go.
Clown down.
Clown down, let's go boys. Oh, you're walled off. That sucks.
Yeah. I got you here.
Oh!
This is a nice position. This is why you want to go high ground. See how it's difficult for them to catch you out and deal with you? They used both their CDs and they couldn't reach you. Oh, why jumped on? Go back up to high ground. Yeah, you don't really want to be here, you want to be high ground. Somebody's chasing you.
I think enemies are behind us.
Nice attempt on the save. If you're high ground, it's easier for you to react to that. You want to go for the punch there, no reason to rev. Big kills. Nice, we're high ground. Oh, we got off high ground. That's a bit unlucky in the beam, but you kind of want to chill a little bit, get your self heal up, get your health back, and then assess the situation from high ground. Also, if I'm ever next to a Furia and I haven't seen her use beam, then I'm like really worried about getting stunned. Those beams are insane. This is a good flank. You did a lot with your mount, you got really far. The ult's not bad. I don't mind it. Let's think about our exit after ulting, what we want to be doing. We definitely want to land on high ground.
I've heard enemies on the right
Enemies
side,
on the right flank, guys.
but I'm
Oh,
focusing down to the
a little bit of miscalculation there, it's fine. Nice, look for the tiger. Nice, clean, clean.
He's gonna go after you.
well, he's not anymore.
Let's go to high ground here. Nice. Oh, it's so good. Just control this. Control torch. That's what the room where the ROM is in, that's called torch. You want to control as much as that as you can. This is fine.
Alright, we should win this point.
Keep an eye on your threats. Nice.
Yeah, I'll just kill the buck.
I would try to get a little bit of that Grockle and then engage in torch.
Might as well.
This doesn't really do that much for you. You're not a Kinessa or a long range damage dealer.
Oh, he's Furia buff. I'm mad.
Nice shots though. Nice. Yeah, just go back to high ground. So here I would just dash up above cart and look for the spawners and use your ult. Give you the highest chance of winning. There you go.
Nice.
So the biggest things to work on is knowing to go for high ground and playing around that. A lot of times you just run it down mid on ground level without a good reason. Whereas if you play high ground and look for opportunities and plays there, you'll have much more success. Another thing, you force fights a bit too much. You just kind of full send regardless of if it's a good situation or if you're winning the fight. If you learn to ebb and flow a bit more and peel back when you're losing or avoiding fights that aren't good for you, you'll have a much higher winning chance for each fight. Tunneling ties into that a little bit, where you see one target and you just hard send into it. Whereas if you assess the whole situation, you'll see it's much better to fall back and chill out. Yeah, at this level, it's good to keep broad, general ideas in mind. Since this is gold, we don't have to do anything crazy with min-maxing. The biggest stuff I want you to focus on are just playing off of high ground and playing off of opportunities and knowing if you should take a fight or if you should leave a fight. Because right now there's no ebb and flow with your playstyle. It's always hard send. I don't think you've ever fought something and then left. You've always seen things through to the end, no matter who dies. Another thing to keep in mind is that mount jump technique. The mount gliding is much faster than jumping and then slowly gliding. I like the Vaughn. I think you adapted well, and if you implement a few of those ideas we talked about, you'll have much more success. I want you every time you die to ask if you should have been in that fight in the first place, because I think you might be focusing on how do I win that fight, but if you focus on if it was a good idea in the first place, you'll put yourself in much better situations. Alright Echo, thanks for the VOD. If anyone else wants a coaching session, just sub to my Twitch at twitch.tv/rockmonkey and send me a VOD to my Discord group or to my DMs. And if you want to see me play live and you haven't already, check out my Twitch. I stream almost every day. Thanks. Bye.